What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My apologies for taking 2 weeks off. I kind of got a little bit lazy after New Year's, but my bad. I'm back, so I got some good news and bad news. Good news, Sign of Django is less than a week away, so we're going to have a pretty healthy amount of content for a while in terms of modding, team comps, counters, defense, offense, territory wars, GAC. I mean, this character is going to be just the gift that keeps on giving. Bad news is, and this is really only bad news for me, I was really hoping Conquest was going to get delayed and stuff like that because I'm supposed to go on a cruise this weekend for a whole week, and I'm going to be out in the middle of the ocean the day Sign of Django comes out. So I'm probably just going to have to take my camera with me and my laptop and, try to jimmy rig some kind of a video for you guys. So if you guys see some really, really weird backgrounds or horrible quality, but worse than normal, I guess, that's why. So let's go in game. Let's talk about mods, turn order, team comps, and such. That way you guys have a pretty good idea on how to utilize Sign of Django when he does come out. Alright, so some of these comps I've come up with, I mean, there's plenty. There's so many comps, but these are the two I'm going to be focusing on at first. The top one is going to be for TW and GAC, I believe, but then I do want to test Dash with Sign of Django. I want to see how Dash performs. I think he's going to fit really well into the team, but probably just for GAC, not really for TW. But we'll see. Down here we can even put Sign of Django and Fennec under the BAM team. We got bounty hunters, more bounty hunters, more bounty hunters. I mean, you could throw him with Zam for the Omnicron and make him ridiculously fast, which we'll talk about in a second. And then Scoundrels and just a bunch of stuff, guys. Like a bunch of just crazy teams that he's going to work on. And turn order is everything, guys. Okay, and the reason turn order is super important with this team is because we want the contract completed on Sign of Django's first turn. Okay, we want him to have his contract ready to go on first turn. We basically want to treat him like Mando. We want that disintegrate. We want to get him rolling. And pretty much the way we're going to do that, kind of adjusted the turn order for the BAM trio for this. So I actually have IG-11 as my fastest character on the team. And the reason for that is because in territory wars, when we're going up against like Lord Vader, JML, or any GL or any team, it doesn't have to be a GL, any team that just throws a bunch of debuffs out that get ahead of us, IG is going to cleanse everything. Kind of similar to how that like Imperial Trooper Shock T counter works to Lord Vader. That's kind of what I'm going for with this. So IG-11 is going to be 1 speed or 2 speed faster than Quill in my case. And the cool thing about IG is we get to actually use his Zeta, which really, you don't find a whole lot of use for this Zeta on a BAM team. We're going to get a lot of use out of it. So the cool thing is, IG, anytime he cleanses a debuff from droids or scoundrels, which he does at the start of his turn, he inflicts damage over time for 2 turns on random enemies that can't be evaded, but can be resisted. So the reason why that's so cool is because our contract requires us to hit debuffed enemies while we're buffed 10 times in Territory Wars and 20 times in GAC. So in Territory Wars, we're effectively, I mean, we're kind of getting like almost like a not like a pre-top, but like a pre-start on our contract before we even do anything, which is kind of cool. We're going to go straight into his AoE here to inflict Tenacity Down to really make sure that everyone is debuffed. This Tenacity Down does go through Foresight. And if anyone's debuffed, like with Dots, then he's actually going to be contributing to the contract on his turn, which is kind of nice. So after that, obviously, after we get rid of the days, Dots from Lord Vader, Quill's going to give us turn meter. We're all going to be buffed now. Bam's going to go into his stance. Fennec is going to, or I guess Bam doesn't have to go into his stance, but ideally you want Bam to go into his stance. But I guess if you really need to use his basic to complete the contract, I guess you could do that as well. And then Fennec's going to do her basic or AoE, doesn't really matter. And then by then, contract should be completed, because IG is going to get a couple hits in. Fennec, and then it's not that hard to get to 10. It's really not. Fennec's doing most of the work anyway. So then if this team is struggling to get the contract, we can just plug in Dash, and Dash does his AoE for 15 hits, and we're done in TW. GAC, we're not done yet though. We still need a couple more hits. Alright, so I'm going to break down Sign of Django's kit for you guys. Okay, so let's talk about Sign of Django's kit. I'm going to kind of explain why you want the contract completed on his first turn. So he has this mechanic called Momentum, and I'm going to try and explain this as simple as possible for you guys, because it's going to get a little bit confusing between GC and TW. I'm going to put some numbers up on the screen, that way you guys have a better visual to like keep track of everything, because it's going to get a little confusing here. But right now we're just going to focus on TW, and then I'll throw up the numbers for GAC as well. So Momentum, how does he need it? What is it? What does it do? So it's a status effect. It's a blue icon. Whenever he scores a critical hit, he gains a stack of momentum for 3 turns, can't be copied, dispelled, or prevented. Okay, simple enough. In Territory Wars, he's going to gain an additional stack of momentum just anytime he uses an ability. So anytime he uses his basic or his 2 specials, he's going to get an additional stack no matter what. Deal physical damage twice the enemy. So we can have potential to get 2 stacks of momentum if we crit. If the enemy has no protection, we can deal damage 2 more times. So we have potential to get 4 stacks of momentum if we get all 4 crits. Then you get 1 for using the ability. And then if we're in territory wars, we're going to get an extra 1. So we're going to have a total of 6 on his basic, okay? And they're all for 3 turns. Anytime you gain momentum, it's always going to be for 3 turns. Dual barrage. You're going to gain a stack of momentum when you use the ability. And then if we're in territory wars, we're going to gain an additional stack. If we land crits, this does hit 2 people. And it only hits 2 targets. It's not AoE. So that's, 4. And then if the character was armor shred, this is both in territory wars and GAC. If the character is armor shred, you gain an additional stack of momentum. So we have the potential to gain 5 stacks with this ability, okay? Bounty Breaker, AoE. So if we crit hit all 5 people, we get 5 stacks right off the bat. Then you get 1 stack for using the ability, so that's 6, and then you gain an additional stack if we're in territory wars, okay? Now, having stacks of momentum allows you to do different, these abilities basically just get better. And, when you're in territory wars, this is the one that's going to be killing GLs, is when you get to 16 stacks with the protection disruption. So, stacks of momentum, what do they do? Why do they matter? So, like I said, Sign of Django is a slow character. He gains 5% turn meter anytime he gains a stack of momentum. When you complete the contract, this is both in TW and GAC, doesn't matter, all his momentum gains are doubled for the rest of the battle. So let's just let that sink in real quick. You have the potential to get 6. So that could be 12 on a basic. Okay, if my math is correct. 12 on a basic. You have the potential to get 10 on dual barrage. And then Bounty Breaker, you have the potential to get 14. So let's just look at Bounty Breaker for a second. 14 stacks of momentum generated on 1 attack. 14 times 5, that's 70% turn meter. Okay, so he is a slow character, but he is going to be getting a bunch of turn meter. I mean, it's called momentum for a reason, guys. Come on. But we are going to want to have 2 different mod sets for him, okay? And the reason for that is the turn order. Like I said, we want him to have his contract completed on turn 1, but the problem is he gives himself... He gives the whole team plus 30 speed in TW, and then he gives himself an additional 60 speed. So, yeah, I guess we could mod him really fast, and he could just be going like crazy, but I'm going to mod him slow. I'm going to mod him as the last character in the team. That way, when he takes his first turn, we're already generating stacks of momentum. If you don't have his contract completed, yeah, he could gain... Let's just scenario-wise. You do Bounty Breaker as his first hit. You don't have the contract completed. You could, if you're in territory wars, you'll gain 35% turn meter. That's not bad, but we can do better. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be generating that stacks. That way, like, you can get to this hit much, much easier. And I think the reason they did 16 is because they're trying to keep you away from getting this on turn 2. But, I mean, with BAM there, with damage immunity, we can definitely soak up a bunch of hits. So I want to talk about mod sets now for... Sign of Django. So I'm not even giving him 6 emods because his mod set is going to be changing all over the place because, like I said, the turn order is so important, and if I change the mods for anyone else, or the turn order changes because I remove characters around, his mod set's going to change completely. So this is a really, really crappy mod set. This is my Territory Wars mod set, actually. I'm giving him 4 protection primaries because, yeah, he's a little bit thicker than Boba Fett, but that's not saying much. He's still pretty squishy. You have regular Boba, you have Django, and then Sign of Django's kind of like right in the middle. He's not as, I don't want to say Django's tanky, but like Sign of Django is not as squishy as Boba, but he's still pretty squishy. So we're giving him 4 protection primaries. We want to make sure this dude does not die. Crit chance, a crit chance with offense set, and like I said, we want that offense set because we'll deal true damage after the contract is completed in Territory Wars. You can still do offense, I think, in GAC. I just happen to do crit chance because I just happen to have more crit chance mods, so I'm going to switch over to crit chance, but yeah, I'm only giving him 67 speed in Territory Wars. That's literally all I'm giving him. I just want this guy to survive so he can do, protection disruption. He can do his mechanics, pretty much. He's not. I don't think he's going to be the one killing people. He might. I don't know. But I think Fennec and Bam kind of are the damage dealers on the team. Over for GAC. Where is it at? GAC. I obviously I gave him more speed. 118. Still not a whole lot of speed, but 118. Going with crit damage offense, and health. I'm not going full protection primaries, and I did give him a speed arrow, because I really don't think we're going to be taking down GLs in GAC, at least. Territory Wars, yeah, but I want to make sure he just... He sticks around. One of the other things I want to talk about is Fennec Shan. So, I know a lot of people are saying that Sign of Django is going to be great in TW, but not going to be that good in GAC, and we'll see. But I think Fennec might be the star of the show in GAC, and maybe even TW. So she has this mechanic right here, where she gains 10% offense every time she gets Tenacity up, which really no one's even using right now, because there's not really a point. It's not that, like... It's like more trouble than it's worth right now. But when Sign of Django comes out, this is something I think people need to start looking at. So anytime she gets Tenacity up, she gets 10% offense, stacking. Bam's on the team, then you double it, and if Sign of Django is in the leader slot, you double it again. 40% offense is quite a bit stacking when you consider how easily you can put Tenacity up on her. So my Fennec has 14k special damage. 40% of that is like, it's just north of 5k. So we're just stacking on 5k, 5k, 5k every time, which is kind of just crazy to think about. I really don't even know what she's going to do in Territory Wars, especially with the mastery increase from Sign of Django lead. I'm really curious to see what numbers Fennec is going to do. And then on top of that, then you have the double armor shred that she's just dumping out every other turn, which is just absolutely silly. So what are some of the ways she gets Tenacity up? The main way is going to be probably through Bam. You know, anytime Bam gets to use Wander to the Forest, the target also gets Tenacity up for 2 turns. So, you know, someone could dip, but you don't have to give that character, like, damage immunity. If it's like Sign of Django, I'd give it to him for sure. You don't want that guy to die. But if it's like IG or Quill, like, or even Bam himself, you could just equalize, heal up through, you know, IG or Quill, and then just pass the Tenacity up over to Fennec if you wanted to. The other way, which is going to happen a lot more frequent, is going to be through Sign of Django. As long as you have 5 stacks of momentum, you're giving everybody Tenacity up for 2 turns. So, and keep in mind, he has no cooldowns on his specials. So in GAC, not TW, because TW, you're going to want to use this, and I think after you drop the Protection Disruption, I'm pretty sure you're just winning at that point. But in GAC, I think if you just spam this ability, after you generate enough stacks of momentum, you just spam this a couple times, I mean, what is she going to look like? So even you give Fennec Shan Tenacity up 3 times, and with mine being at 14k, and it's like 5k per increase, she's going to be at like 29k offense, which is like... Plus you have the, like, what is it right here? The crit damage if they're debuffed, and then when the contract's completed, they gain 25% offense already. And then in her kit, I believe she gains offense as well when her contract completes. Let's see. She gets crit chance, crit damage. You know, you can give yourself the overconfident, which is basically offense up. So I don't know what Fennec's going to look like. I don't think we've seen a character in this game that can stack offense as rapidly as Fennec Shan. I'm very optimistic. I'm very curious to see what we can come up with. Well, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I hope this helps you understand how Sign of Django's kit is going to work, as well as give you some ideas on how to mod him and or some team comps for GAC and TW. Now, speaking of GAC, I will be recapping my last season once we get the rest of the data. So probably tomorrow I'll have a video coming out about how my Zam Omicron did on defense, and whether or not I think it's going to be worth it next season to keep her on defense or offense. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think about Sign of Django, and let me know your ideas on how you're going to use them, or if you have any questions on anything I didn't cover in today's video. Other than that, guys, I will catch you all next time. See ya.